Right, well, Furiosa. What did you think of it?
Well, I think it was overly long. I think it was beautiful. I mean, there's lots of great cinematography, but overall, I was a little disappointed. What do you think?
What's the runtime on this movie?
2 hours and 22 minutes, I think.
You know, I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie.
You're kidding me.
No, I thought it was a good film. I thought it was a really good film. I thought it expanded the mythos of George Miller's world substantially.
Wow.
Like, actually, substantially, things are really fleshed out. There's a lot more stuff fleshed out. I actually didn't feel it. I didn't feel. I didn't feel like it was 2 hours 20 minutes.
It actually, with the credits and everything, it's 2 hours 28 minutes long. So it's almost
I
two and a
liked
half
it. I thought
hours
it was a
long.
good film.
You're insane. Let's start here.
Pissed off.
Okay. So much like most of the third acts, when you get an auteur involved as a director and so on and so forth, creative type like
What's
that,
wrong with the third act?
it's ridiculously long. When you get to the end, and this might be a little spoilery, everybody, but when you get to the end, the last scene lasts for 6.5 hours because
It doesn't last for 6.5 hours.
Furiosa is standing over a villain and
Yeah, but
just
but
go ahead.
don't you like the fact that the sort of unreliable narrator aspect comes through and it's sort of mythical? And that ties the, some people would have liked her if she did this. Some people says she did this, she did that, she did this, etc. And then we apparently find out he's got a tree growing out of his genitals or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's that unreliable narrator aspect which adds to what a lot of people had suspected of what Mad Max was. Each movie, are you watching a movie and a story from Mad Max's perspective, or are you watching a sort of a dramatization of a story that had been passed down?
I was watching a story that had no Mad Max in it. That's what I
No,
was
Mad
watching.
Max was in it.
No, come on, that long shot from behind that didn't do anything. Come on now. Wow,
what long shot from behind? He's literally there with his car.
Sure.
He is. Did you not see that?
I did.
You missed that?
No, I did not. He's sitting on a desert ridge on a dune, overlooking a collapsing Furiosa, but you don't see him. You see the back of him, and you see the back of his car. Yeah, it's not Mad Max.
No, it's the front of the car. It's not the back of the car. It's the front.
That's the front of the car. I don't know. All I know is the car was on the dune.
You weren't paying attention. Yeah.
Okay. How long was the shot for? And in seconds?
Oh, yeah, no, sure. Like, it's a blink and you miss it moment. But don't you think that Praetorian Jack is a bit of a Mad Max trope
I think
as well?
I think the opportunity to have Furiosa and Praetorian Jack spend more time together was the downfall of this film. I think.
No, I liked that.
It was not enough time. It was not enough time. It was that was what the story should have been, and that would have made me care more about Furiosa. Because after an hour of little Furiosa, growing up in adversity, I stopped caring about. I didn't say she wasn't a good actress. The little girl was fine. The hour of that. It's funny. This is a Furiosa movie with only half of like the adult Furiosa in it. It was terribly long, overly done.
But we know who adult Furiosa is. We've seen her, Charlize Theron. We've seen her. So it's actually good to get Furiosa growing up.
I disagree. I think that was done overly long. I think there was lots of self-indulgent scenes in this. I think there were times you easily. This was an 2-hour, 28-minute film that had an hour of content in it.
So what scene? What scene was overly
long? Which scene? From beginning to end. Okay, starting out with like,
that's not a scene, that's a movie.
Just calm down. So the very first scene, okay, and this is going to hit a lot of people in the audience strong. But the very first scene, first of all, there's a woman there that looks like she ate a beluga whale. And in a post-apocalyptic world, I have to tell you, there aren't going to be people that size. The very first shot, after the little girls get captured, or actually Furiosa gets captured, the sister goes trotting off to the land of abundance or whatever that's called.
Mm.
And Mary reacts by getting on the horse. That's the mother's name, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And she begins to ride off, and in the background, you see the people in the little community, town, tribe, whatever,
Mm.
kind of roll out behind her. There is, first of all, there's definitely a little intersectional stuff there, but there's a woman and maybe a couple other people in the background that look like they're not in a post-apocalyptic world. They're in,
What's
you
the
know,
land of abundance, mate?
well, hey, McDonald's must be there, is all I'm saying. Anyway, regardless, that's not even the point. But from
In
that point
fairness,
forward, yeah.
I actually
Mm.
didn't spot that.
Ah, well,
So,
it's a blink and you miss it moment, apparently, much like
well,
Mad
there you
Max
go then,
is.
mate. Blink and you miss it.
There you
Just
go.
like Mad Max.
Except I saw Mad Max or what, or sort of.
Whatever. Okay, well, okay. Did you like
Let me
Fury
finish.
Road or not?
I thought it was okay, but again, that was another film. I'm like, why does this exist? It doesn't. It's not. It wasn't very good.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, see,
It.
I like this movie a little bit more than Fury Road because
Wow.
there's more narrative, mate. There's a much bigger there's more story being told here.
Okay.
You
What?
can't argue with that. It's demonstrably true. There is more story being told in Furiosa than there is in Fury Road.
I won't argue with you. There's definitely more story being told. The question is, was it necessary? And I think the follow up question to that is, who's the film for? But again, it's overly long
true.
because every scene is stretched, right? The chase to get to reclaim Furiosa at the very beginning. Mother Mary was chasing after Furiosa, whose real name's actually Furiosa. It wasn't a nickname she picked out in the wasteland. So
I will
from the
say
very
this,
beginning.
right?
Yeah.
I will say, I like this movie,
Sure.
but I was straight away when she's like, when they stopped for an overly long time to like, Furiosa's mum and whoever else, some rando, they stopped for far too long. You'd be like, look, mate, they're getting away.
Oh, and those are
Hurry up.
motorcycles, and you're on a horse, right?
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
that annoyed me.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, that annoyed me. That was just the first of many annoyances. But, but there was a lot of that throughout the film. Like, I mean, I love the fact that, the sniff your farts kind of cinematography there was like the thing that was focused on rather than getting to the next scene. But I mean, definitely Miller was definitely, and then his spouse is the person that's editing it. This Pixel lady or Pizel or whatever her last name is, Margaret, whatever. But she's the same guilty party for stretching out things or not editing things in a way that made more sense in Fury Road. But this film is too long for what it is. And there are more and more scenes like that throughout the film. If you watch it again and just pay attention to just, wow, that should have made the cutting room floor. Wow, this scene was unnecessary. Wow, we spent an hour with the little girl Furiosa just showing you that the wasteland's the wasteland.
I don't dislike that. I don't dislike the hour.
The hour of little girl Furiosa. I think they missed out on. What they missed out on, again, I'll say this and I'll let you talk without interrupting. But
conversation, mate.
Oh no, I know, but I just feel like I've been trying to ramble about this. The Praetorian Jack and her should have hung out for a long. That would have been the film. The film is that relationship. Then you would have felt more about Furiosa, and you would have felt more about the loss, which they didn't even show Praetorian Jack perishing. And they didn't give you enough evil. By the way, Hemsworth, if I'm going to say positive things about this film,
great.
Genius. I mean, as Dementus, that shows you the range of this man as an actor, right? And the fact that he has been misused by Marvel and in other things. I think Extraction's probably the only place he's not misused, right? Outside of the other roles he's played. So when you look at his performance here, you're like, this dude needs to be in other stuff because he has range. We know that he can do comedy, he can do other things, and he can be a big hulky dude like you. But at the same time, he's got this amazing ability to act and give you a character that that grew. I mean, throughout the film, if anybody grew in this film, it was Dementus's character.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know whether he necessarily grew. I thought it was a an incredible decline into utter madness.
Yes.
Because he really did just go like he was pretty. He had a good handle on things at the start with
Yeah.
his biker gang, and then it just all went to shit for him. And he
Mhm.
was just clutching at power each time. He was doing things that I think even he disagreed with to hold on to power.
Yeah. I think he felt that the only power that he was able to maintain was through, and again, this is why he is so good as an actor, and the character was well done. Again, if you had Praetorian Jack, Furiosa, and Dementis, and then the mob, right? The biker mob, that would make, or horde, I guess, but that would make more sense if it was more focused on those storylines, because I would have still cared for Furiosa at the end of the film. But it got to a certain point where I just didn't care, you know. And
What did you like about the film then?
I was trying to tell you, so Dementis was great, right? That was an incredible character study. Plus, I liked the idea that we were being introduced to how the other antagonists, protagonists, whatever you want to call them, were actually how those relationships came to be, how the different places in the wasteland existed, the fortresses and such.
Bullet Farm,
Yeah,
Gas Town,
yeah,
and the warlords of each
and
one. It's
and
cool, right?
the Citadel, right? So these were things I loved. But getting from young Furiosa to the Citadel should have taken a really short period of time. I literally could have cut 45 minutes out of this film and made it a much better thing. And I would have focused so much more on Praetorian Jack. Consider that. You would have cared about that relationship. And when those things went sideways, you would have cared even more at that moment.
No, let me interrupt now then.
Okay.
How would that have worked, right? So you need the chase. You need
Yeah.
part of a chase.
Yeah.
You definitely need Furiosa with Dementis, because Dementis is a character you said you liked. So you can't count Dementis. You also need Dementis killing Furiosa's mother.
Yeah.
To have the initial sort of harboring of pain and resentment and revenge. That's a lengthy time. You need to be with these characters for a reasonable amount of time to care that her mother's been killed. You do.
The mother's attempt at rescue should have been cut short at the tent. And then you didn't need all that other stuff from there you didn't need her being this wicked badass with a long range gun, taking out, dozens of people. And again, deciding that it's Furiosa's fault all along, that also could have been, rolled into the fact that she's the one that got caught trying to do something weird, to the bikers, instead of sending her sister for help and maintaining a spotting position on the ridge. I mean, you could have cut out a whole lot of other things. You didn't need that. From the very beginning, it was her fault. But being abducted, being taken straight away, and then having the mother pursue, and getting to the very last thing, there was a lot of unnecessary elements in there. When the mother shows up for the rescue,
I don't necessarily think it's her fault. I actually think that's what the culture of that sort of shanty town, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the rules, is you can't, because that's what she was saying. We can't let anyone know about this place.
Yeah, I know.
So
yeah.
I think that's what Furiosa was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Was not allowing them to leave. That's what she was trying to do. She's trying to do what she's told to do.
Well, no, her mother told her to get back and don't and warn everybody, because nobody else was going to know the position of the town. But instead, she turned about, went back to her mom, who had attempted to rescue.
No, the whole place. They still figure out the whole place eventually, wouldn't they?
Say again?
The bikers were in the lush green place already.
Sure. But they were taking them out.
Stop them from leaving.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the pause for 5 minutes to bump your heads together that you mentioned earlier that annoyed you at the very beginning of the film. Yeah. The horse never would have caught those bikes at that point. So
that did annoy me.
Yeah, and then the long range rifle shot.
Scrotus?
Say again?
Did you like Scrotus?
Oh yeah, I love the brothers. They're great. Thought they were great. I like the names. They were silly. Morton Joe is probably one of my favorites, right? So,
Morton Joe's cool. Did you know that the actor who played the original Morton Joe is the guy who played the original villain from the original Mad Max?
That doesn't surprise me.
Did you not know that? So he's
I
dead
didn't know
now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think they use. I can't remember if that's the same actor and he died in between, after filming, or they've used a new actor for Immortan Joe. But the original actor for Immortan Joe is the original actor for the first villain in Mad Max.
That's amazing.
Cool, at least rogue for you.
I love that. But no, I look the every single element of this and the lore in it that spoke to me, right? But there were overly long scenes, and there were struggles for motivations at times, and of course, Dementis, like as you said, that was probably the best part of the film. I really didn't. I wanted Dementis to win. I got to the point where I know how this ends, but Dementis is still a better character in this than Furiosa. And look, one of the things I'll give credit. Now, come on, you asked me what I can think positive about it. They didn't have Furiosa throwing around, 285-pound, Chris Hemsworth, because she's about as big as a real risk. Yeah. Because she's like the size of a matchstick, So
yeah. There's nowhere in this film that she presents herself as something other than what she is. There's a very real sense that she's gonna get hurt at pretty much every turn. I mean, she gets woken up. Yeah. Well, loads of people like this movie's not woke.
No,
I don't know.
Well, there's a little bit of intersectional stuff at the very beginning that we pointed out, and there's a little bit of it in a couple other places, but not much. In fact, I don't think there's anything woke in the film. I think you're right. I think it's just like this a little bit of intersectionalism. That's all.
I liked it. I thought it was solid. I think it's going to bomb though. I think
it is so hard. All right, this thing is it's a nuclear bomb. I mean, there's no denying it. If you look at its performance on its here and domestically, $3.5 million on preview Thursday, and 35 at best here domestically over a 5-day weekend if you count Thursday, because we have holiday on Monday.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it's there's a chance, this is weird, but I'm going to go see Garfield tomorrow morning so I can do my review on that. Garfield could beat it. Garfield could be the number one film in the domestic, because they're both in the $30 million range. And think about it, Furiosa, you're not going to take your kids to that. You didn't take them to go see Garfield.
True. Would you? You wouldn't recommend Furiosa then, would you?
I went a little hard in the paint on the film. I said it was a 5 or 6 out of 10 because so many, again, there is so much in this movie that's unnecessary, and what did you think? I mean, you are very sober minded when it comes to these things. And, I went in there wanting to like it because I love the lore of it. Oh, by the way, the history, man, genius. That was fantastic. Cool,
wasn't it? Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So what did I think? I mean, I was once again vindicated on my sources. So everything I had already.
Oh no, you were right. Through. Yeah.
And sometimes it's an awkward position having leaks and knowing what happens in the film. I knew everything that happened in this film.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I originally did actually think Praetorian Jack was what I was told was the Mad Max cameo, because I was like, I mean, he's dressed pretty similar to Mel Gibson's Mad Max here. Like, what's going on here? But no, obviously that was not the case. But you kind of go in, not necessarily expecting things, but like waiting for things to happen. But I mean, I took a step back from it and just watched it as a movie. I liked it. I mean, there are the number one bloody complaint is the stopping in that car chase, bike chase, horse chase, whatever it is, the chase at the start, trying to get your daughter back. Because if they had removed some of that, I understand why they did it. They did it for emotional weight, right? Oh, these people, they care for one another. They've got a sense of, duty and things like this. Sure, fine, I understand. They should have done that before they started to have chase, though, to have that emotional narrative there. Because when you interrupt a chase sequence with things like that, the sense of urgency completely is ruined. Like the sense of urgency is ruined. But I mean, everything else I quite enjoyed. There's very clearly a lot more green screen and CGI being used in this movie. But because you know what they did on Fury Road with the practical elements there, I feel like some of the things that some people think may be CGI could very well actually just be practical effects. We'll have to see what comes out on sort of special features and things like that, because they did a hell of a lot of practical effects for Fury Road, stuff which you would think is actually CG, but they did it. So I'm not going to massively judge that element of this film. I actually thought the pacing was pretty solid.
Wow.
I did not feel like it was 2 hours 20 minutes, but that's because I guess I was enjoying it substantially more than you were, and that's the problem. Pacing of a film becomes painfully obvious when the immersion is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The immersion of a film is what keeps the pace at bay when it's a long film. And I just enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the elements of this sort of young Furiosa witnessing all this brutality in the wasteland under the care of Dementis. Just abhorrent stuff, just witnessing it. And sort of and then the introduction of Immortan Joe, and no, you can come live with me sort of thing. I was like, okay, this is not where I thought the crossover would go. I didn't think this is how it would happen. Rectus basically being a pedo was not really on my bingo card list for this movie, but that happened as well.
That was weird.
Bloody gross. But again, not to be expected from essentially mutant wastelanders. I adored the expansion. The expansion of the wasteland and the lore and the world. I adored. I thought it was really well done. Each stronghold has a warlord.
Yes.
It's a careful balance.
Yes, it is.
And Dementis, a character called Dementis, comes in and just fucks the whole balance up.
Yep.
He just screws the whole balance of the wasteland up completely.
Yep.
Bullet Farm, nah, I'm done with that. Gastown, nah, I'm done with that. And it was a very easy, sort of careful balance between all of these places. I'll trade you this for this, and you'll get this for this.
Yeah, and it's like, look, Bullet Town needed Gastown, and the Citadel. They all needed each other.
Had all the food and the water, basically.
Yeah, and like they shut down their water pumps and all kinds of stuff to preserve. I saw and this is why I really appreciated Immortan Joe. Immortan Joe's basically the leader carrying the economy, right, and the order there. And again, this is the things I loved. You asked me what I liked. I liked the lore.
I've got to say one thing. When everyone's arguing about what options they've got,
yes,
and Immortan just goes, "It's my option. It's my choice."
Yeah, and he's right.
Shut up.
He's right. He definitely doesn't want to listen to those two kids he made. Holy cow. The brother's dumb.
No, mentally deficient.
But look, I mean, you see, not only that, you get to see the struggle they have at reproduction, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And there is an LP in here, and it wasn't, an
LP?
Yeah, a little person.
There was a few, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't, the one that thinks he's the only one that can work in Hollywood, for a change.
Oh, yeah, I did like that. Yeah. But there was a few in Fury Road as well, actually.
Yeah. And so it was there, and it was neat. And man, I have to tell you, the War Wagon. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot here to like. But the problem is, unlike you, I'm like, this is slow. This shouldn't be here. This is. And it wouldn't have been, right? Because I mean, up through Thunder Realm, there wasn't a lot of pauses for huffing your own farts, George.
Yeah. I mean, look, I appreciate that, but sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I quite enjoy a spectacle film, and this is, I guess, a spectacle film to some degree.
It is, and it's shot as an epic. This would have been something, because somebody asked me the other day, I think it was a couple days ago, what decided a film between 35 millimeter and 70 millimeter, and I'm like, an argument between a director and whether or not it was going to be an epic, because it was a difference in cost for production and the whole 9 yards. So
yeah. Well, look, I like this film.
Yep.
You don't. we differ, but at least it wasn't an echo chamber.
That's
So,
right.
good chat, good review.
Right. Yeah. No, and look, if you like this, I would say, look, encourage us both. I'll have my version, and Mr. H will have his version, respectively, on our channels for our members. And if you like it, let us know, because we can do more of these. Because we see movies all the time. So unlike
Yeah,
some
we
other
do.
people, we see movies all the time. So thanks. I love it. This was fun.
Cool. There you go. Done.